ndinoda kuti nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingatadzi kubudirira mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa.
My hitters don't die, and real hitters gon' shine, and my people gon' line. That's my point to it, yeah. I ain't saying
how the hell do I not have a deal? I swear this thing is a real dog. I play fan off, the cowards that they can't feel. The wife try to console me like it's coming, baby, chill. She don't understand. I'm the only one that's real. I remember the 3rd grade. Them kids, they had waves. I had them BDBs. You know there's Zimbabwe in grade. So they do shades. And your boy hit the stage, press play, and all the chicks was like, yeah. While boys was moving bricks, I was moving chips, yes. If she gave me calculus, gave her a mouthful of it. Heat rose to this thing, boy, I bet on myself.
Grand rising, everybody. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. We want to welcome y'all to a fantastic Friday. Thank you for waiting for us this morning. I'm so excited because today we have Rasheda Hatchett back in the building. And of course, y'all know she's going to be dropping some gems for us. It's another Hatchett Media segment. I'm so thankful that she's here. We also got Aaron. Aaron is going to be sharing with us his position with Participatory Budgeting and the Seattle People's Fellowship Program. I'm so excited that he is here. We also have Aleyanna. She is one of the Seattle People's Fellows. So I'm so glad that both of them are here to talk about that work. We're going to be diving into it all after this short break. Y'all stay tuned and you're watching The Day with Trae.
What's up, everybody? You know, me and Besa, my girl, we had to pull up to Market Street Shoes once again, y'all.
And you know, we do this every season. We have to get the new shoes, the new boots, and this time I even got a coat.
Yeah, no, you did walk in without a coat.
I really
I'm glad you found one. But their boots were on point.
Yes, the boots, the bags. I even grabbed a flannel.
Yeah, you did. You know, and I was able to get some hats and everything. I was really impressed.
And you know I was impressed because, of course, I got those white boots that you guys see me wearing everywhere these days.
Yeah, no, I look at your white boots and I'm like, darn it, they only have one pair. Me and Besa wear the same size. Of course, every time we walk out with several bags in hand.
Several bags and sometimes even a backpack, you guys. Make sure you check out Market Street Shoes.
Yeah, please check them out. Where they go, Besa?
Ooh, 2232 Northwest Market Street, Seattle, Washington.
This winter, Seattle Opera presents the world premiere of 1,000 Splendid Suns. Based on the best-selling novel by Khaled Hosseini, this new opera tells the breathtaking story of 2 Afghan women brought together under the brutal Taliban rule. There has never been a more important time for this story to be on stage. Make this world premiere part of your plans today. Don't miss 1,000 Splendid Suns, February 25th through March 11th at McCall Hall. Details at seattleopera.org.
A time was had at Sankofa. I got to thank all of the folks who came down and shared their phenomenal stories, the work they're doing in community. Shout out to all of our Converge family who came down and taped their shows there as well, and everyone who made this such a phenomenal time. Of course, y'all know I was inspired by these phenomenal folks and their stories of how their lived experience is paving the way. Thank you, Sankofa Theater. We love and appreciate you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Of course, I want to invite y'all, because it's the top of the show, so it's a great time to tag and share the stream. That's right. Now is the time for you to tag and share the stream with folks you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on the Day with Trae. And if you can't watch us, we do have you covered, because you can listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. Y'all will find me on Google, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, you name it, whichever one is your favorite. Search for us and y'all will find us there. Well, it is time for a Hatchett Media moment. I'm so grateful that Rasheda Hatchett is back in the building. What's up, Rasheda?
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. This has been an amazing segment so far. And, I've just been hearing some amazing feedback from folks saying, Thank you for having her on. So just thank you for bringing your brilliance to the David Trae every single month. And I'm deeming it, I'm going to say this is going to be Hatchet Media Moments. That's what we're talking about.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. So let's talk about this month because we got Women's History Month. And this theme this year is celebrating our women storytellers. It's super rich, right? And there's so many things to celebrate when we can unpeel that theme. Tell us some things that we can kind of dive into this month as we think about that theme and celebrate women.
Yeah, I think it's really important, of course, for women to tell their stories. For so long, our voices have been stifled and we hadn't had the opportunity to share in a really big and robust way. And now that we have all of these different opportunities to share our story, we've got podcasts, we have, writing articles, not just that, but writing books. I'm a 6-time author, as you know, and so I have a huge place in my heart for writing. And I think that it's just important for us to share that history. As women, we've got to pass down what we know to the next generation. How do they get to where we are? How do they have a blueprint if we don't leave it for them? If we don't say, this is that legacy, and I want you to know what I know, it's not just for me, it's so that I can bless those who are coming after me to not have to go through the struggle of figuring it out. I wrote it down. I can give you a couple of steps on how you can do it, and you can do it in a way that puts you in position to win instead of to struggle through what you're going through.
Yeah, that's so key. And, some of my elders are always saying, you need to capture your story, because oftentimes there's a lot of women that have been behind major movements, but their stories don't get captured, right?
Yes.
And particularly in real time, we don't get to see a lot of those folks hit the forefront. Oh, we're going to be right back, y'all. Take a break. We'll be right back.
What up, y'all? T-Dub here, as always, bringing you the news in art funding and opportunities. This year's For Culture Project grants are live now, and here's what you need to know to apply. For Culture Project grants fund cultural activities and projects throughout King County. If you are an individual or group with arts, heritage, or preservation at its core, then this funding is for you. And if you're new to the grant application process, For Culture hosts virtual workshops and has a team of grant managers ready to assist you in the process. The deadline to apply is March 23rd. Head over to forculture.org for more.
This winter, Seattle Opera presents the world premiere of 1,000 Splendid Suns. Based on the best-selling novel by Khaled Hosseini, this new opera tells the breathtaking story of 2 Afghan women brought together under the brutal Taliban rule. There has never been a more important time for this story to be on stage. Make this world premiere part of your plans today. Don't miss 1,000 Splendid Suns, February 25th through March 11th at McCall Hall. Details at seattleopera.org.
Welcome back, y'all, to the David Trae. Thank you so much to our production team for making sure y'all can hear and everything is right on the production side. But as we were discussing here, Rasheda, oftentimes the women behind a lot of movements, their stories are not told. When you think about writing books, I want to hear more about your process, because you're so right that writing it down and putting it in book format means that future generations really get to benefit from all of the lessons you've learned, right?
Yeah. For me, my decision wasn't really a decision at first. I knew I wanted to write, and I was like, okay, I don't know any writers. I don't know anyone who's authored a book personally, right? I'm a registered nurse. I know people who have done research projects and articles, but no one who's authored a book just about their life, about their knowledge, what they know, their experiences. So the first thing I did, I put it on my vision board. So I put it on my vision board, and I had all these books, and I had author on there, and I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And then I made a decision. That was like the second thing, was I made a decision that I was going to move forward and try to figure this out. So I just decided that it was time for personal development, and I started getting in rooms and spaces with people who were doing what I wanted to do. And then all these authors showed up, and I was like, okay. And they started talking about self-publishing books, and I'm like, wait, that's a thing? You can self-publish your own book? And I'm like, okay, but I still don't know how, right? And one of the things that I tell people all the time, that it's not your job to know the how. The how is not you. That's not your bag. Let God deal with the how. You're just supposed to walk in that thing that's burning inside of you, that you're like, I have to do this. I have to do this. That divine download that you're like, this is it. This is what I am called to do. You just have to take action. And then the how, it's going to open up to you. Right? Those doors will open, the opportunities will open. And it's exactly what happened to me. The opportunity opened. Someone was on my Facebook feed and they were doing an anthology, which is a collection of stories with a bunch of nurses. And there was an opportunity for me to join. And so that's how my first book was born. And that one is Living Large, A Nurse's Journey Toward Resilience. And it catapulted from there. From one book became 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the process for authoring a book is very, I'm sure, different for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And it means you're diving into particular areas of your life and lived experience to bring it out in story format. So when we think about celebrating our women storytellers, you are definitely one of those for us here that we need to celebrate. And let's talk about the litany of books that you've written, because I know for me, people are always like, you should be writing, you should do this. And I think about it and I go, okay, well, what is my way of creating something that makes sense for people to be able to receive and benefit from? How have you decided, okay, from one book to 6, obviously there's different topics you're touching on for every book. How did you choose all of those?
So for the ones that I did that were anthologies, where I'm in a book that's a collection of stories with other people, usually there's a theme. There's something that we're all writing about. So I've told my birth story in one with my son. It was a traumatic birth story. I got it out there because Black women experience that so very often. And I wanted my voice to be heard. I wanted to say out loud what happened to me and how traumatic it was. And so that was the theme of this particular book, was allowing Black people to share their stories about how racism has affected them in different ways, right? So it just depends on what that one is. Now, for the books that I've written that are just me, boy. So Sis, It's Time to Thrive, my latest book, A Unicorn's Guide to Loving Yourself Audaciously, that was really about my healing and moving forward journey in who I am and how I got to where I am. And I really wanted to leave that blueprint. So that book is laced with stories and anecdotes, and the end of each chapter has affirmations and journal prompts and questions to ask yourself to help you move forward in that area. And it was really about me just sharing how I got to where I am today and how you can do it too.
Yeah. I mean, this is right here for me when we think about this year's theme. Storytelling comes in all different types of formats. Yeah. And so I love being able to be a part of media where, there are videos now that people can go back to and see what's been happening in this area and beyond, all of the things that we cover. For me, it's like it's now in some type of format that people can digest and consume. Yeah. But that's the same thing when it comes to book writing and being courageous enough to tell your story, because I feel like that's really where a lot of this generates from. Yeah. And honestly, we are all the better for it when we have a multifaceted viewpoints out there for us to consume and to be inspired by. When you think about your inspirations, clearly there are folks that are pouring into you. You said you stepped into the realm and folks started coming, God paved a way. When you think about some of those top influences and inspirations for you to carry you forward through to the end of the book, because starting and ending are two different things.
Yes, they are.
Tell us more about some of those inspirations for you.
Yeah. So, for me, coaching is huge. I am a coach. I'm a leadership coach for women, and I believe in it. So I didn't blindly go into starting to write my first book. I got a coach. Mm-hmm. And I had someone coach me through this process and how you do it, and then how you self-publish, because there's a million things that you have to do to be able to self-publish, right? Like when you say self-publish, it really is all on you. You have to get that book formatted properly. You have to get the cover designed. You got to get your ISBN number. Like all of those things have to be done. And if you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to do it, right? We don't know what we don't know. So I got a coach. And I had someone walk me through that process. But the bigger thing was the implementation of it, right? Like you can have someone show you, hey, this is what you're going to do. You can have someone tell you, but if you don't implement that strategy, you're going to have a class, course, whatever that is, just sitting there. For me, it was implementation, right? So I started with the vision. I made a decision to take audacious action and to move. I hired a coach, and then I implemented everything that they told me to do. And when I was done, the book was done. And then that was the spark, right? That was it. And then more anthology opportunities came my way. And then I wrote 2 books that I have written 100% on my own. So, you know, there's levels to it, but the inspiration for me of people was being in the room with folks who had done it. It was unbelievable the number of people who had written books. Once I opened myself up to the possibility of doing it, I think I probably know 100 authors now.
Wow.
And I knew 0 when I first started. And I didn't publish my first book until I think we're at 3 years, maybe. In 3 years, I've gone from 0 to 6. So
my goodness,
it's amazing.
Well, you know, congratulations to you for stepping out on you, really, and giving yourself the opportunity to share your story in the ways that you have. And honestly, I already know that your clients, in terms of your coaching clients, they are receiving the benefit of you sharing those stories, because oftentimes what that is it becomes a part of your lived experience. So it's another thing that you're able to really tap into when you're guiding and helping others in your coaching practice. So of course, Rasheda, always excited to talk to you every first Friday of the month as folks are hearing this amazing story and they want to get your books. Look right there, make sure they know exactly how to tap in with you, get your coaching services and your books.
You can find me at RashedaHatchettMedia.com. Go to my website, hit shop, and you can find all of my books and all the things that I offer. I am on IG, Facebook, at Rasheda Hatchett Media. So come in, join me. The next thing I have coming up is a leadership retreat for women who are ready to take their cape off. So if that's you, meet me on my website. I got a lot for you there. Go and sign up.
Oh, amazing. Rasheda, thank you so much for taking time to be with me this Friday. It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to next month so we can dive in more on all of the tips that you have to give us all. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Oh, what a great beginning to this amazing fun-filled Friday. I'm so excited because we got some dope information coming your way with Aaron and Aleyanna from Participatory Budgeting and the Seattle People's Fellows Program. Stay tuned right after this short break, y'all. You're watching The Day with Trae. What's up, everybody? You know, me and Besa, my girl, we had to pull up to Market Street Shoes once again, y'all.
And you know, we do this every season. We have to get the new shoes, the new boots, and this time I even got a coat.
Yeah, no, you did walk in without a coat.
I really
I'm glad
did.
you found one. But their boots were on point.
Yes, the boots, the bags. I even grabbed a flannel.
Yeah, you did. You know, and I was able to get some hats and everything. I was really impressed.
And you know I was impressed because, of course, I got those white boots that you guys see me wearing everywhere these days.
Yeah, no, I look at your white boots and I'm like, darn it, they only have one pair. Me and Besa wear the same size. Of course, every time we walk out with several bags in hand.
Several bags and sometimes even a backpack, you guys. Make sure you check out Market Street Shoes.
Yeah, please check them out. Where they go, Besa?
Ooh, 2232 Northwest Market Street, Seattle, Washington.
This winter, Seattle Opera presents the world premiere of 1,000 Splendid Suns. Based on the best-selling novel by Khaled Hosseini, this new opera tells the breathtaking story of 2 Afghan women brought together under the brutal Taliban rule. There has never been a more important time for this story to be on stage. Make this world premiere part of your plans today. Don't miss 1,000 Splendid Suns, February 25th through March 11th at McCall Hall. Details at seattleopera.org.
A time was had at Sankofa. I got to thank all of the folks who came down and shared their phenomenal stories, the work they're doing in community. Shout out to all of our Converge family who came down and taped their shows there as well, and everyone who made this such a phenomenal time. Of course, y'all know I was inspired by these phenomenal folks and their stories of how their lived experience is paving the way. Thank you, Sankofa Theater. We love and appreciate you. Welcome back, everyone, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, and I'm excited because we get a great update from Participatory Budgeting right here with Aaron and Aleyanna. Welcome, y'all.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm so glad y'all could be on today. And, this is something that we have been a part of since the beginning and really want to stay with the process. So I appreciate y'all coming on today to tell us more about the Seattle People's Fellowship Program. But I'll start with you, Aaron, because you have a dynamic role there. Tell us what your role is and why you are there at Participatory Budgeting.
Yeah, hey, my name is Aaron Carr. Originally from Detroit, Michigan. We've been here in Seattle for about 8 years now. And my role with the Participatory Budgeting Project, one thing that's really cool is that they are a national nonprofit, but they've hired local organizers to fill the real important staff roles, right? And so my staff role in particular is to support in bringing youth into the process. So the process, if people don't know, actually engages people all the way from ages 10 and up, right? And so we can have like the youth and the perspective of very young people in this process about how we spend $27 million. And my role is really special that I get to like figure out how we do that. Because sometimes we don't always engage youth and people don't always have strategies. They don't know how to reach them. They don't know, where to go or who to talk to. And so I'm really there to kind of navigate those situations, like talking to schools, talking to community-based organizations, and figuring out how we can get the youth involved and get them into spaces where they can share their ideas, their perspective.
Well, this is so necessary. And honestly, I love that there's a whole person in you dedicated to bringing youth in, because sometimes that becomes an afterthought. And I'm so glad that Participatory Budgeting is saying we need to really put this at the forefront. And so you are the Seattle People's Fellows Program Manager, right? Hope I got all that right. Yeah. And that means that you get this opportunity to really be direct in communities and particularly with youth. That's amazing. Aleyanna, you are one of the People's Fellows, right? Yes. So tell us more about how you are incorporating, your opinions into this process, and what does it mean to be a fellow?
Yes, of course. So our youth fellowship is basically a way to get youth engaged, because it's one thing to say, oh, we want youth here. It's another thing to actively make sure that they feel welcome, help them with their ideas, all of that. So we're just there to spread the word and make sure that they feel comfortable speaking up and sharing the ideas to be a part of the process. For me, I'm a creative. I love the arts. I've been in the Seattle art scene for a minute. And the older I get, the more I want to see safe spaces, and the more, I get tired of complaining about the same old things. I want to see a change specifically for the Black community. And so I joined because I was like, oh, this is a way to get people involved. Like, this is funding going directly into the community. Like, this is a way for us to make a change and a youth to make a change. And I'm starting to get older. I turned 21 in a couple months. I want to be able to set things up so that people even younger than me can feel comfortable and like don't have to deal with the same things that I dealt with growing up. So that's why I started.
Well, one thing is for certain, that when young people see themselves in positions of power and exaltation, it means that they really have a way to feel welcome. And, when we talk about bringing youth in, I've always talked about this in terms of any type of process that's quasi-governmental. You have a lot of distrust, Aaron, I'm sure that you've been experiencing that as you are hitting community-based organizations and community groups. A lot of folks are like, man, I'm going to tell y'all what to do, and are y'all going to do it? How are you dealing and navigating with building that trust in an intentional way?
Yeah, the first part of it, like the cool thing is that like I'm a consultant. Outside of this, like I'm an organizational consultant, and I'm thinking about that, right? It's like a part of it is like we definitely have to be there to receive that information, but we also have to advocate in certain systems for things to go certain ways. So we're also talking to certain like folks in government and talking to folks at PB and being like, this is what the community is asking. They're concerned about this. Like, how are we funding people's ideas who are not organizations, right? So then I'm like, okay, what does that look like in the process? Like, at what part of the process are we ensuring that even if you don't have a nonprofit, you could still possibly get this funding, because these ideas need to go directly to the people. So there's a lot of advocacy, there's a lot of communication within, PB and also within the government that we have to do. But especially in terms of like, after we do that advocacy inside and then internally, it's also about actually like listening and like taking notes and being accountable, right? Because there's going to be so many opportunities that we get to hear from community, and it is easy for us to be like, yeah, you said it. Thank you for sharing, you know, but I got to take down notes. I met someone at the kickoff and they were like, hey, like, you know, I don't know how to do computer stuff, but I want to be a part of it. So I'm like, I got to call you and we're going to fill out this application together, right? Like that's the level of organizing we're doing. It's like, I'll call you. I'll make sure you get, I wrote down your idea and I'll make sure you get to input it. I'll make sure you'll know when the next event is and I'll text you and say, are you coming? You know, like that's how we're doing it, people to people.
Yeah, that's really important, that kind of approach, particularly in Black communities. Axiology, as Dr. Nichols so taught me so eloquently, is that our axiology is member to member. That's how we build. That's how we grow. And historically, that's how our communities and our societies and civilization have actually built itself up, particularly in Black communities. So I appreciate that. Now, also understand this funding is really here to fill voids, right? It's a layer of repairing past harm. So to be able to direct it into the communities, into ideas that will do that is very essential here. Aleyanna, when you think about, you know, the ways that young folks have been able to respond to this opportunity thus far, what is some of the response you're seeing and how they're receiving this information?
One, just shock at being included, especially younger kids. A lot of times, you know, I remember being little and going to events with my parents and being like, okay, like when I get older, I'll have a say so. But like just realizing, oh, wait, like we get to put in our ideas too. And then just a lot of ideas like, oh, well, this is what I could do. Okay, well, can you come to the school? Like, can you come speak here? Let me tell my friends about it. Really taking advantage of networking. And even if you don't know someone, your friend might know that person, and just making sure that people know that, like, basically meeting people where they're at. And just, if you know someone who can do something, tell them about it. So just really feeding in to networking, really feeding into community and making sure that they know, no, we want to hear you. It doesn't matter how you sound. You don't have to be wordy. You don't have to do the most, but like, what are your ideas? We actually want to hear you. What Aaron was saying, just taking time to listen. It's been really, really cool just seeing how excited they are to help and be a part of things.
Yeah, this kind of process is, I think, what's needed in so many different layers of government. And really, when you think about centering, you know, voices who are normally not centered at all, that's a special way of approaching this layer of the work. But it also means that what you get in the end and what you get as a return is a amazingly wide ranging amount of solutions that maybe folks have never even thought of. And honestly, when we are able to share this opportunity with young people, you'll really hear some things that were like outside of the box. Because I think as we get older, we start boxing ourselves in. We start compartmentalizing in ways that have said, well, this is what society has deemed is valuable or important, so that's what I'm going to say out of my mouth, versus a young person who doesn't have that boxed in mentality. So, you know, for both of y'all, you know, when you think about some of the main goals of this process in particular, we know we want this money to come in to Black, Indigenous communities, those who have been the most impacted by divestment and past harm with racial oppression and so much more. When you think about your role being so essential to that, I really want to hear from both of you how you take that in, that level of responsibility. Aaron, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like Aleyanna said, it's an honor. You know, like it's like, especially like last month was like Black History Month, and like, you know, like we came such a way as a people. Like we've come from this to the point where we're making these kinds of decisions on millions of dollars. And so like, I just get inspired. And for me, I really see it as an opportunity, not just to get this money, but to build power and resiliency over time. So a big part of the role that I'm having, and as a manager, I'm trying to build coalitions of youth organizations and youth who are passionate about this, so they get to know each other. So it's like, oh, like, can the VERA project talk to Youth Speaks a little bit more? Can like this youth advisory council meet with this youth advisory council and figure out what they do right and how they can build on that? A lot of organizations that I'm reaching out to, they're like, oh, we're trying to, you know, create these youth advisory councils and like learn how to involve them in our budgeting anyway. So we want to just learn, right? And so I think that one of the goals and the things that I'm really passionate about is like that learning piece of like, let's share best practices. Let's talk about a possibility where in the future, youth are always a part of this decision, whether it's 27 million from the government or it's a few thousand for your organization. How did you bring them into the process? These are the steps. How do you like iterate this process in other ways, right? And so that's something that that's kind of how I deal with it and navigate it, is that I'm like really like, how do we use this as a long-term solution too? Like not just in this moment, in this year where we're gonna get this money that's gonna fill in some of those gaps, but like really in the future, how do we start to show up differently for each other and show up differently, especially for youth, as we involve them in important decisions.
Oh, that's so powerful and so true. Aleyanna, this responsibility, like how do you receive it? How have you been able to really settle into it? Because this is going to be iconic, right? It's like the biggest participatory budgeting process of any other city. So we're really also setting a model, setting a tone. How does that resonate with you?
Well, first of all, I just want to give thanks to Aaron. Like being able to work with them has been amazing. Off the gate, I was trained so well. Like we had time to just talk about what does it look like when you're on the field talking to people? What does it look like doing social media? What does it look like doing all that? So I was really prepared, really, really well, really set up for success. So I just want to give thanks to that. And for me, something that's important to me as a music artist, as a poet, is bringing creatives into this conversation. I am so excited to bring creatives into this conversation, similar to youth. And if you think about it, creative youth, we think outside of the box. And a lot of the times there is a universal factor about art that really brings people together and is a way of communicating things that can be hard to communicate. And I'm lucky enough to have partnerships at both Youth Speaks and Totem Star. And so I'm super excited to bring those organizations in and just use my connects within that. So when I think about it, I just think about, wow, like I have the chance to make things better. And with Black History Month ending, going into Women's History Month, I'm a Black woman. So I'm so excited to really see us thrive. I really feel like Black women, queer Black people, all of those things, we tend to be left out of the conversation. And as creatives, we really tend to be left out of the conversation. So I'm just honored that I get the chance to really connect with those who might otherwise feel unrepresented, who might otherwise feel unseen, because it's hard going up into these places. And if I can be there to level and be like, yo, I see you, like, get up there, you got this. Like that makes me so happy. That honestly makes my inner child smile. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for other Black women, other queer Black people, and I'm also doing it for my inner child. Like this is beautiful work, and I'm so honored to be a part of it.
Well, it sounds like y'all are off to an amazing start. Of course, for me, I just want to stay engaged and informed. I want y'all to know this is a space where you can come and share updates and share opportunities for community engagement. Of course, I got to give you time to look right there in that camera, Aaron, and let folks know if they want to be a part of this process. If you haven't been able to talk to them yet, but they want to be heard, they want to be listened to, how do folks tap in to make sure that their voice is a part of this amazing process? Look right there, let them know.
Yes. So if you are interested in being involved in the process, one cool way to get involved is to follow us on Instagram at Seattle Youth Fellowship. And there, like, you could click on our link tree in our bio, and it has a ton of different ways to get involved in what we're focusing on right now. So one thing is to fill out our community accessibility survey, our check-in survey is what we're calling it. And it's an opportunity for us to find out from youth ages 10 all the way to 21 is like, what do y'all want to see in this process? Like, we thinking about putting together a concert. Do y'all want to have a buffet at dinner? We got money, we got funding. We're going to do things that are fun. So fill out that survey. Let us know what you want to see, and we're going to create that as fellows. We're also putting together some youth summits happening on March 4th and March 10th. And so you can also click on that link tree and find out ways to actually like meet other youth who are passionate, who are change makers, who want to share their voice and their feelings and their story. And Aleyanna, you can tell them the phone number for them to call. We actually have a hotline that you can text and also get information.
Yes. So if you can text change to 206-839-6884, that would be wonderful. You can definitely let us know all of your ideas, where you would even like us to show up, and you can start the process. Definitely stay along with our path.
Yeah, and just message us if you have any questions. If you're like, I don't know exactly what to do, I'm just excited, or I know of a youth who I want to bring in, but just DM us, connect us, and we'll take it from there, right? Like, yeah, like especially for you adults in the community who know a bunch of passionate youth, please let them know about this opportunity, right? Because this is the outreach part. It's hard. Youth don't always know that these processes are for them. And sometimes us as adults, we also have to ensure that we're supporting that accessibility. So I'm talking to you adults, especially if you have your child and you're like, my child has these ideas. They're always telling me stories and I want them to be a part of it. Like, tell them, come to the Youth Summit, follow us on Instagram, get involved. We really want to hear your voice.
Yeah, there we go. And it leads us to the Youth Summit. Of course, we got to make sure people know how to tap in. That's coming up soon, right? Give us the details on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So our first Youth Summit is actually tomorrow. It's going to be a virtual Youth Summit. We are super excited to host it. We just want to create spaces where, one, youth are educated about the process and about the huge role that they get to play. So it's mainly there. We're still at an outreach part. So we're just trying to make sure that people know and they can share their ideas. So we're really excited to host this. We had an event last week for everyone. This is centered specifically for youth. So if you are a youth, if you know a youth, please bring them. We want to hear your voice. We want to help make sure you get to be a part of the process.
And you can also, by registering for that, you get entered into a $25 gift card. So definitely, if you're like, hey, that's also a benefit, please go ahead and follow us on the Instagram, text us. You can also find the information if you text us, that'll come to and register for that event tomorrow, March 4th or March 10th. Yeah.
Amazing. You guys got opportunities. I'm gonna make sure my 17-year-old taps in, and my other son, he's 9, so he doesn't make the cutoff, but I might have to hear his voice and his ideas and bring them to y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Know again, this is a space for y'all to share information and insight. So grateful to have both of you a part of this phenomenal process. Thank you both. Oh my goodness, y'all. I told you it was going to be a fun-filled and information-filled Friday. It was so great to be able to connect with Rasheda Hatchett from Rasheda Hatchett Media once again, bringing us a Rasheda Hatchett Media moment. I'm so grateful to have her here every first Friday of the month. We always get into a great conversation, and the goal is to really inspire you to take some tips that you can use for yourself. She shared her journey as an author with us today so that you can of course, be inspired by all the great things that she's doing. And I'm so inspired by Aaron and Aleyanna for bringing their passion and their dedication to ensuring that this money hits the places that it needs to hit. And that means they need to be talking to everybody. Clearly, they got the energy and enthusiasm to do just that. And they are bringing their inspiration to the youth in this fellows program. If you know of youth that need to participate in these youth summits coming up on the 4th and the 10th, make sure y'all tap in with them. As she said, text the line. Y'all can find the information on their Instagram. Just connect with them, DM them, say, yo, I don't know where to sign up. Please let me get that registration link. They'll be sure to send it to y'all. They're being actively engaged by bringing voices in. And y'all know I'm inspired by all of my guests today. Ultimately, the goal for this show right here is for y'all to be inspired. Take this inspiration with you throughout the weekend and throughout the engagements and connections you're making with other people. It's so powerful when we all are inspired to do something. This participatory budgeting process is one way that everybody gets to really pour in to their ideas about how to utilize this money to repair some past harms. And it's only a tip of the iceberg, but it's a start. And when we're all passionate enough to get out of our homes, get off of our phones, get out of our chairs and do something about this world that we want to make better, we will in fact make a better world. Thank y'all for watching today. And for me, until Monday at 11 a.m., y'all, peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.